Well, viewers, we are back at it again. We will pick it up from where we left last time, but please make sure you like my page. If it's on Facebook, if it's on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel so that whenever we have an episode, you can be notified. And of course, I want you to be in my group. Today, we will go back to chapter 8 of my book. That is Love, Marriage, and Family. I thought last episode we had really finished about that, but we'll go back there because there was a lot of discussions afterwards in the studio about children and parents, and I thought I should go back there and just share from my heart, you know, some of the challenges that we've gone through as a family, my wife and I bringing up, you know, 2 boys and a daughter. As I had told you earlier on, I prayed that God would give us, you know, a daughter in the beginning because she would tame the boys, I thought. Listening from others, I thought if she came first, she would not be wild. She'll kind of, you know, watch over the rest of the kids and kind of give them, you know, good direction. And surely it happened. God was very, very gracious. He gave us a daughter who came first. And the next one came too early. Our 2 children, both the first and the second, they share the same birthday, 22nd September. A year apart. Somebody would ask, how did that happen? You know, hey, we were young, we were naive, we didn't know, and so when they started coming, they started coming. So Catherine was very motherish, if I would say. She kind of, you know, looked after her brother, and later on, you know, another brother came up. That bit was very, very good for us, you know, as a family. But we had also challenging moments, you know, as they grew up. I noticed some of them would be hanging out with characters out there that we were not happy with, and we were afraid they would, you know, kind of pick up the bad things out there. There's one thing I mentioned in my last episode, and I'll repeat it again. Because I kept hearing and teaching also, spend time with your kids. The time you spend with them is the most valuable gift that you can give to them as they grow up. Remember, these kids, their page is blank. It's blank. Nothing has ever been written. So what they see mother and father do, that is what exactly they copy. They are kind of like a copying machine. They copy what they see, how you eat, how you sit, how you dress, how you go. They copy all that. But little did I know that that is what was happening. I came home late, came from prayer meetings, came from commitments late, ended up leaving early in the morning, or they left me asleep. So I would spend days without seeing those kids. And that's one thing that I mentioned last time that I regret. If I was to do it again, I would turn the clock and spend more time with kids. But I also mentioned that I discovered that my wife was too busy with the children. And so I missed the affection that I had gotten in the first year after we had gotten married. You see, we were just the 2 of us. And so we would go together in the kitchen. If she gets burned her finger, she would place it on me, you know, kind of share the pain, she thought, or we thought. But when the children came, a distance began to crop in. And she was right. She was supposed to spend time with the kids. They needed attention left and right. And so I was kind of left out. And I don't know some of you men out there that face this, you know, the same challenges. That changed after the children left home. We have right now, and I'm fast forward, the house is empty. We call it the empty nest syndrome, where it is only me and my wife, and we don't have a house help. So we have to do everything all over. And as I told you last time, I'm just beginning to learn how to wash the dishes. That is very challenging. So fast forward, and we have all the time to ourselves. I mean, until we are almost tired of each other. In the evenings, we talk and we finish talking, and most times we sleep past midnight. Maybe sleep went away when we were growing up, but it's very hard for us to sleep at 10 o'clock. Midnight, 1 a.m., like last night, and people ask me, what were you doing? Well, sometimes we dance, and sometimes we bore each other, and we get into our machines, our phones, and each one is laughing with somebody out there, and it's just funny. So what I was saying is, we have all the time now. We travel. One other thing, my wife stayed home when I traveled for missions. I went for long trips for a month, sometimes 2 months, and she stayed home. People would wonder, where is your wife? I said, she's home with the children. And that was very helpful to have my wife stay home with the children when I was gone. But let me talk about the absentee parents, which in the studio here, there was a lot of discussions about that. Father was always absent, and to make it worse, even the mothers. Sometimes they're out there. And so you don't have a close relationship with the kids. There's a distance. I heard here, and there's one thing I told my kids. Father was not at home. I rarely, sat down with him. Mother was there, yes, but she had very little to offer those years. So I'm here now, carrying that from my parents and trying to do the same for my kids. And I said, I will try as much as possible, but I want you to be better than me. I would expect my children who are now grown up, they have their own families, I would expect them to do better than I did because of what I carried. I carried very little, honestly, from my parents. But I was told the little time, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that you come home when the children are small and you play around and you have time with them, that builds into their character, that builds in their future. So few moments, weekends being with them. During the holidays, we would find more time to be with them. And then at the end of the year, when I was terribly, terribly tired and almost burning out, we would take a week away. We'd take a vacation. We would go to a very cheap place in Mombasa, and we would change roles. My wife would do other responsibilities, but I would wake up early in the morning and I would do the breakfast, and I would wake them up to eat, and they'll go to play in the sand at the beach, and I'll cook, and then lunchtime I will beckon them to come and eat. My wife would help with the utensils. Remember that? That was my biggest challenge. But we'll change roles out there for a week. And that one was very interesting. Later years, as the children grew up and they were teenagers, if I went to the kitchen, they would be all scared, wondering, Dad, what are you doing in the kitchen? So then, things, begin to change there. Let me talk about different seasons at different times. Someone was asking me, what was the most challenging season as a children was growing up? And let me be very honest. Every season has got its own challenges, and every season has got its own enjoyments. Now, looking back, I enjoyed all the seasons, but every season had its own challenges. And one of the most challenging was the teenage age. I mean, teenage that they went out to play with their school, in their school, they would go out and play rugby, especially the boys. And they would not show up home until very late in the morning hours. And by 11 o'clock, we're going to bed, and my wife is asking me now, where is so-and-so? And I say, oh, don't worry, settle down. They'll come up. I was the one to calm her down. She would worry and talk, but me, I would worry and keep quiet. But you see, when she would pass it over to me, where do you think our son is? I'm thinking the same thing, but I can't say it. I have to pretend that I know the kid is okay, and I'll tell her, hey, huyu mtoto wako salama. The kid, wherever they are, I believe they are all right. We would go to bed sleeping when a son is not at home. And I would pretend in the early moments before sleep came, I would pretend I'm okay. But let me tell you, would roll in bed wondering, is this kid safe? Is he safe with his friends? What are they doing? We would resort to praying. We would resort to praying that, Lord, keep this son of ours, that he will not get into wrong things. So that one, I would say, was one most challenging. And of course, because, as a teenage, they were discovering themselves. They were wondering, who am I? And they hated being called the pastor's kids. They didn't like that. Why? One of the things I know, my kids didn't say, but I've heard it from other families, pastors' families. You see, the pastor's home is where many people will end up to sleep. Visitors coming from far, they will end up at the pastor's house. And so the kids get shoveled from room to room when visitors come. And they don't like that. They would hate this pastoral thing that brings visitors from all over the world, and they have to sleep in our bed, in our room, and we have to sleep sometimes on the floor. That is a big challenge for kids. And even some of you who are not pastors, when visitors come, how do your children react to that? I was shocked one day when we came to church. We used to sit with them, so that we would, when they were small, we would sit with them next to each other. There's one time they were not there. We would enter the church and they would disappear. They were in the church, but not with us. And for me, looking back, they didn't like to be around the parents for certain reasons. One, people are seeing them with their folks, they don't want that. Others, they'll be called the pastor's kids. And the other problem that pastors' kids face in school is being referred to as the preacher, the pastor. And they don't like that. See, they would do the same mistakes other kids do. People don't expect that. People don't expect a pastor's kid to misbehave. Kwanza in school. Oh no. And so they talk about it loudly. And then come to the church. You hear members talking about the pastor's kid misbehaving. And also talking about the pastor, the way he was preaching on Sunday, the way he was, and the kids are hearing that. That affects the children. In fact, many pastors' children do not want that career. They don't want to be pastors at all later on. Unless there is enough grace for these kids as they grow to understand that this is a strategy of the devil, to affect them so that they will never be ministers of the Word of God. So I don't know about you, but I do know that this was an area with our kids they fought with, they struggled with. And going out there and, hearing other kids commending what the parents are saying about the pastor. And who is the pastor? It is their father. And who is the pastor's wife? It is their mother. Uliona vile alikuwa anavaa Sunday. Huyo mama anavaanga very funny. And it is the pastor's wife they are commenting about. And this daughter is there and she's hearing this. So in their heart of hearts, they say, I do not want to be a pastor's kid. But I want to challenge those of you that are out there and you're a pastor's kid. Let me tell you, it's one of the best, work to do. It's very fulfilling when you minister to people, when you pray for people, when you counsel people, and you see them growing up there. Let me mention one more, and then we'll close this episode. My wife, sometimes booking an appointment to come and see me was the funniest. Because I was too busy again in church with members. Members would come and book appointments, and from morning to evening, I'm talking, I'm counseling, I'm praying. And one day, my wife books an appointment to come and see me, and it was like, serious? You booking an appointment to come and see me? Yeah, because you're busy with others. I also want to come and see you officially in the office. Whoa, that was something. Those are things that we never think about. That I'm so busy with the members in the church, and I don't have time for my my own. I do know here that when I called one of my kids to the office, then they knew things were not right. I never corrected them in the public. I was taught, never correct your children when they're all together. Take them aside. And to me, my side was the office. Wrong. Home is the best place, to do some of those things. But let me throw in one of the happiest and enjoyable, and also not being sure, is when our children would start dating. And it started for us with the youngest. Paul, the youngest, came one day and asked me questions. Dad, we used to talk a lot with Paul. And to him, he was not sure that he would get married, or he should get married before his brother and before his elder sister. But he had a girl, and interesting, this girl was my secretary. He would come, and she's at the reception. They would, see each other there, laugh, what, and then to cover it up, he would come to my office and just walk around and Dad, blah, blah. A few moments and he goes away. I never thought that there was something cooking when he later told me he loves that girl. Of course, there were others that I would see him without there, and the characters, I would tell him, Paul, if you're looking for a wife, the daughter of so-and-so, and I'm sorry to say this on this video here, the daughter of so-and-so, I'm not sure that she's a good character for you. We shared very closely with Paul, and I believe that really, helped him. So when I learned that he was interested with my receptionist, who was my secretary, and I knew her. She was a girl that, loved God and was serving God with all their heart. I thought, this is an answer to prayer. We don't pray out loud at home. God, give my son a godly woman. But it's a prayer that we always, when you're walking, God wanted you. God, I've served you so much. Remember my son. Remember my daughter. Those are prayers we might not pray in church when we are praying for others. Lakini hii tunaombanga tukitembea. Because again, if we have a bad marriage of a son or knee, you'd ask yourself, but I helped so many others. Now, Lord, how about me? But to this far, as I leave the family page, to this far, I am a happy father. I'm a blessed father. God gave us 2 wonderful daughters-in-law and 1 son-in-law. My wife never calls them daughters-in-law or son-in-law. Those 3 kids that we got, not our biological, but the others, because we have 2 daughters who got married to our 2 boys. And then we have a son who got married, who married our daughter. All of them 3 are special gifts and blessings, and we treasure them. We treasure them so, so much. So our family from 3, they are now 6, and then from 6, and this is the icing on the cake, friends. As a preacher, this is the icing on the cake. Right now, we have 9 grandchildren, and they're with me in ministry. So exciting when they share their memory verses or a song or something in Sunday school or in church. It's a blessing. And I pray those of you that have been listening and following me, that God will bless you with a wonderful family and children and grandchildren and a wonderful ministry. God bless you. We finished chapter 8. We are coming down to chapter 9 in the next episode. Please like my page and also subscribe. Please subscribe so that you're one of my followers. I love you and God bless you.